The White House is at war with Fox News these days. Obama senior advisor David Axelrod says they're not a news organization, and that White House communications director Anita Dunn says they're, quote, opinion journalism masquerading as news. Fox says the White House efforts would be better spent on issues concerning voters.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues right now which should probably be talked about more than this. But this certainly hasn't started right now. I mean, when President Obama was on the campaign trail, there was definitely a war of words between his campaign and Fox News. Now, to call them not a news station, I think you have to really critically look at all the news now. I think it's highly opinionated at all the stations. And I think anyone who thinks otherwise is completely wrong. I think that there are opinions out there. I mean, look, we've all seen it. But there were times when, say, CNN or MSNBC didn't cover victories that our troops had in Afghanistan or Iraq. You know, they covered a percentage of other stories concerning, attacks on Republican candidates, more than that. So I think that to just aim at Fox News, I think we're kind of edging on McCarthyism, and I think that's dangerous.
I heard this morning that on one of the shows, it said that when Bush was in office, it was kind of like a sub rosa idea not to go on MSNBC if you were with him. So this is just a more overt tactic of stay off of Fox, rather than the Bush administration, which was more subversive. Typical.
I don't understand why they would say that. That's the one I'm a little confused about, why they would wage this war on Fox. I mean, I know Fox gives a lot more attention to stuff that I think is silly, is that birther movement stuff, which you had on your show on our HLN, that lady who's a dentist who led the birther movement.
Right. But they say that the Fox is really a wing of the Republican Party rather than being a news organization, that it's a mindset. And that's why they object to it. And they have every right to say what they say. The question is it effective? Is it effective?
No, I don't think it will be. In fact, I think it will call attention to the fact that they seem to be defensive and afraid of someone coming out and speaking up against the administration. And if that happens to happen on Fox and it doesn't happen to happen on CNN or MSNBC, I think we need to look at it objectively.
I think at some point that there are times, and we've talked about this, where Fox is not doing themselves any good, because their point would be better served if they make the point, as opposed to some of the things that they tend to do, which is put stuff on top and they layer it, as opposed to saying, listen, this is what he's doing, we think it sucks.
But this happens on, let's be honest, this happens at CNN, it happens at MSNBC.
But we're just talking, right now we're just talking about Fox. That's why I'm talking specifically about Fox. I don't get my news oftentimes from any of the networks because, I'm from the Walter Cronkite generation where they told you what was going on and you were left to make your decision. You were left to figure it out. How do I feel about this? Do I like this? It wasn't, this is what they're doing and you're going to die. It wasn't, you didn't get that.
Partly this new way of doing it is driven by ratings. I mean, it used to be that the news organizations didn't care about ratings. Now they do, which is why we saw that flying saucer for 3 hours, because they knew that people were riveted to the tube.
It's all about money.
So Fox wants ratings, and I think that this is not something that they're defensive. I think it's an offensive attack. As a matter of fact, they're on the offense against Fox.
To silence someone who may have someone on that might speak out against them because you won't find it in other news stations.
No, but they're not silencing them. First of all, it's backfiring already because Glenn Beck's numbers are up and Fox's numbers are up. So it's not really working. But those people who watch that channel are going to continue to watch it no matter what.
Let's be really clear about this. When we talk about Fox, we're not talking about Fox Television, okay? There is Fox News and there is Fox Television. Fox Television has The Simpsons and
So You Think You Can Dance,
American Idol, and So You Think You Can Dance, and Fox News has the news.
Is this the news?
Like MSNBC. Exactly. It's equal to that.
What about, let me ask you this. Don't you think that in a way it's sort of edging on an attempt at censorship? Like, I certainly think it could end that way.
They're not saying no one can watch it. They're saying we're not going to deal with you. That's what you can't turn it into McCarthyism or censorship. It is about the president and his group saying, we're not going to fool with you anymore.
Asking others to do the same, though, is
it's the
a step further.
But as Joy pointed out, it's the same that Bush did when he was dealing with a lot of folks. He'd say, you don't need to go on CNN. You don't need to do it.
It wasn't out there in the same way.
But being out there is a form of advertisement or if you ask someone not to do something, if our president and his administration asks us not to watch a certain channel.
I don't know that they're saying that.
They asked us if he could come into our schools, and people,
there
were some people who said, no, we're not going to have our kids in.